Sparta and their allies had declared war against Athens and its empire. This conflict was already seen as unavoidable by both sides of the clash. Therefore, both Sparta and Athens had already conducted all the preparations for the approaching war. Sparta was a military power. Its army was comprised of the most well-trained soldiers in Greece. Combining their troops with those of their allies, they formed a coalition of the Peloponnese cities that was practically undefeatable on land. However, a war not only takes place on land. The city of Athens had a respectable army, but the size and power of its navy casted a shadow on everyone else's. The Spartans marched towards the region of Attica, where the city of Athens was located. They went for a classic strategy of invading a territory. Seizing a quick victory, the Peloponnese army started to destroy the fields and rural villages that supplied the city of Athens. The strategy was to force their surrender or oblige them to fight in the open field, a situation where the Spartan troops would have a great advantage, numeric, and also based on the quality of their soldiers. But Pericles anticipated that movement. And so, the rural population that lived near Athens were brought to the city along with their products and cattle, remaining within the fortifications. In previous years, large fortifications had been built, which protected the city of Athens, in addition to the Great Wall, which was a protected corridor connecting the city to the great port of Piraeus. Although besieged, the city of Athens was easily supplied with products that came from outside. The population was fed with grain from Egypt. The elites had their luxuries satisfied by merchants who imported every kind of product. So the Spartan strategy of forcing a quick surrender of Athens amounted to nothing. The siege conducted by Sparta and its allies had no effect. The Athenians kept living their normal lives behind the walls. Meanwhile, the Athenian navy tried to establish a naval blockade for the trade routes whose destination was the Peloponnesus Peninsula. Knowing that Athens would have the ability to invade their cities by sea, the Spartans and their allies split their armies and shipped many soldiers back home. They would have to fight for the city. Now, with a smaller army, the chances of launching an assault against the Athenian fortifications became almost impossible. Pericles' strategy was successful, and now time was on his side. Autumn was coming, and the cities of the Peloponnese were basically rural, so the armies had to go back home to harvest the lands, otherwise their economy would collapse. Since Athens had no more fields to take care of, given that they had been destroyed, its men were free to conduct a military incursion. Pericles had planned to take the city of Megara, located in a strategic position, separating the mainland from the Peloponnesus Peninsula. But Athens was a democracy, and the assembly ruled that such a move would cost many Athenian lives. Unable to change the ideas of the assembly on this issue, Pericles was obliged to keep his armies in a defensive stance. In the year 430 BC, a disaster took place in Athens. A plague coming from Egypt was ravaging the city's population. A third of the population was slaughtered by the disease. Athens was a tremendously crowded city, and so the epidemic spread rapidly. Many of the soldiers that the assembly decided not to sacrifice on the fields of battle ended up facing an inglorious death. If that was not enough, the plague also took the Athenian leader to the Hades, and there was no one in Athens who could have leadership skills capable of replacing him.